priorities really when you're looking at the team they're going up against, and specifically the bot lane they are going up against. Viper has just been so damn good, an absolute pleasure to watch. Really, from the start of spring all the way up until now, he has been consistently fantastic. But Lyric, we are going to jump straight into picks and bans. EDG going to ban away the Akali, the Renekton, the Viego, things that can just get those resets and get those big, assassinations in that backside. Whereas Rogue Warriors, they're looking at the team fighters. They're looking at the Karmas, the Lulus, and the Rumbles to take away from the side of EDG.
And I'm interested to see where EDG go, because both Lee Sin and Udyr open, but the Gwen is open as well, which has been one of EDG's go-to picks. But instead, EDG going to take it a different route than they've taken it all split long, going with that set. And I would love for Rogue Warriors to lock in the Nocturne here. I feel like we've seen Nocturne have so much success as we've seen him in the LPL paired with a lot of these different style comps, right? We've had things like the Twisted Fate come out alongside him and have a massive impact on side lanes. We've seen him be a very big disruptor in skirmishes paired with the Galio, which is an old tried and true combo. And Rogue Warriors want to go with it.
Yeah, even LEC last night, they actually comboed the Rogue, I believe it was, comboed the Nocturne with a Fiddlesticks. It doesn't need to, just needs the paranoia to prop that fear onto multiple members with the Crow Storm. So a fantastic way to combo it out. But they are going to go with the Volibear this time around. Again, just kind of someone who will be able to facilitate that Nocturne. Both of these guys able to jump in onto the back line and cause havoc there.
And when I see EDG going with the set, right, the Lee Sin is still open, but not too many AP junglers available. But JJ having the confidence to just bring out the Diana outright. We've seen this done many times, and that is going to pair alongside with the Lee Sin. So EDG so far getting some of the best solo laners you can in the game. So far their game plan is all about facilitating JJ in the jungle, going in for some invades, trying to set him up and be a big carry force in that late game. And especially when Rogue Warriors team composition so far, even more so with the Kalista hover, is the fact that it wants to come into you. It's going to give you the range to set up with that Diana ultimate.
Yeah, and Kalista locked and loaded there, so that will be going into Betty into the bot side. And we'll see now, they're probably going to see the Ezreal ban, might be even the Kai'Sa, just things that can jump onto the Kalista to get him, kind of away from it. But looking at the side of EDG, like, this is just going to be so stacked to the top side for them. They have a set, they have a Diana, they have a Lee Sin, so many things that can just jump early game, jump into your face and cause that kind of massive snowball. It's going to be a lot of hard work for Rogue Warriors to really just stop themselves from getting, kind of, I suppose, for lack of a better term, just kind of stumped on in the early game.
And one thing about it as well is how well this top side can work with pretty much any bot lane that's in the meta. We already see Rogue Warriors banning out the Senna, the Ezreal still available, which is very self-sufficient. The Varus can come out and it goes strong against the Kalista with, it's build, it's trade. Sure, the early levels aren't that easy, but as you get a few levels under your belt, it does become much better. The Jins there, something we've seen a lot. To me, it feels like any bot lane is very plug and play with EDG, and that's why we see Rogue Warriors end up banning the Thresh, because it removes a lot of options, like the Kog'Maw, Aphelios, and Jinx off the table.
Yeah, it takes away those late game hyperscalers, as you just mentioned, whereas EDG looking to try and take away the playmakers into that mid lane. Of course, they got away the Sylas, the LeBlanc. They are pretty much confirming that Volibear is going into the jungle position. It's probably going to be a Nocturne top, and I kind of, if they do lock in this Twisted Fate here, at least for me, I like this from Rogue Warriors because it gives your comp a very definitive setup of globals, dive, and going towards a lane and trying to stop the snowball against you. Rise does a very similar thing with the Realm Warp, and you're just basically trying to dogpile down onto whatever lane you think will work.
Yeah, does a very similar job, also brings a scaling, brings much more potent damage because, of course, Twisted Fate being a lot more of a utility champion, also does much better in those side lanes. So I think Rogue Warriors diversifying their comp a little bit, but still, with the Kalista, Volibear, Nocturne, you expect this to be all about the 5v5s, and not just another low to mid-range champion that now Viper is going to get to abuse with the Ezreal, and that the rest of EDG's champions should have a very easy time getting on top of.
And if they lock in this Alistar here, they do indeed. Remember, no Hex Flash available as there is still a bug with that champion, but for Mako, honestly, like, you look at EDG and this entire composition just screams dive, go towards that backline. You have so many people, Lee Sin, Sett, Diana, Alistar, all being able to jump in on the backside and keep Viper safe, while Viper's just throwing Mystic Shot after Mystic Shot to just basically pepper down the health bars.
Yeah, I think you have two very scrappy compositions. EDG's to me is a bit more dynamic because it can do everything that you just said. dive onto the enemy carries of Rogue Warriors side, but especially with the fact that, you know, Rogue Warriors are going to be wanting to come into you. If you can get the prio, push out the waves first, get on objectives first, you just have a great peeling setup overall with Set, Lee Sin, Alistar, Ezreal playing back, and then playing for those windows where RW oversteps or you bait out some key abilities, and then you can find that re-engage with the top side of the map using the Diana for burst and using Viper to keep off-putting the DPS where he's safe.
Well, both compositions locked in. Rogue Warriors bringing Betty back into the bot lane to see if they can, or he can, turn around their fortunes. And for EDG, they're looking to equal out LNG at the top of the standings at 4-0. Little fun fact, should we get all the way to week 9, EDG and LNG do not play each other until week 9, so we might have ourselves a little bit of an undefeated streak. Again, very, very early on, but still great start from them. And for EDG, this should be a pretty easy, in terms of the caliber, pretty easy kind of setup for them. They shouldn't be, you know, kind of tried too much. But for Rogue Warriors, that's what we're looking to see. See if they can be competitive.
I like that we're seeing the lower tier teams coming in today with the same game plan of like, hey, we're going to go early game. We know if we try to go toe-to-toe and set up for a mid or late setup that we're probably just going to fall behind, and you know, the teams of these calibers are proficient enough to snowball. And this is an age-old conversation, I think, for people who are on teams or on broadcasts is what is actually the safer choice as a newer team? Because typically it's been talked about as just scaling, trying to do less, playing off your enemy mistakes. But a lot of teams go the opposite way of saying, hey, if we draft the lanes that fall behind, the enemy team is way too competent at taking advantage of that. So we are going to be looking at Rogue Warriors, I think especially towards Ice Coke, Betty, and Kai Schwan to get a lot of the early aggression started. And then once we hit that level 6 mark, it's going to be a lot more about pairing up the Soul Laners, Nocturne diving in on top of Viper, trying to delete him instantly from the fight. And then hopefully you can just win out because you have more DPS.
Oh, here we are. The Gyos going strong as we jump onto the Rift. You can see a couple of wards there. Bit aggressive, bit defensive as well for the side of Rogue Warriors and EDG. But again, EDG is all about how they make these AD champions, these AD, you know, priority mid laner and top laner combined with something like Diana. And for Ice Coke, he'll know that he'll have a little bit of an easier time with the clear compared to JJ. And I'm curious to see now where JJ goes with his pathing.
I still wouldn't be too surprised to just see JJ come out with a full clear. I think that is the best route for a Diana, where it's like, hey, you know, your first big power spike is level 6. You look at the bottom side of the map to where he is clearing towards. You don't have too much early skirmishing potential there as compared to, you know, a 3v3 up against a Volibear whose base damages are stacked, brings in CC, Callista, who's absolutely insane champion the first 3 levels, coming out the Hail of Blades in the Ren, and then Kai Schwan also going to be able to offer so much. So we want to see JJ focus on getting his own advantage, getting to that level 6 mark. I think for EDG, it's a lot more about keeping your lane self-sufficient. If we can get some early wards, especially around Scout's lane, I think there will be some all-in potentials there once you hit that level 3 mark. And for Rogue Warriors, Ice Coke comboing with Betty and Kai Schwan, we already hit on it. And you can see by his pathing, that is what he's aiming to do.
Yeah, going to be pathing towards this bot side. You mentioned, obviously, the early levels you can see already in the map. Pretty much priority in the lanes. This is almost standard at the moment for the, you know, the way these things go. Nocturne pushes in. Rise is going to be able to get the push in onto Scout for the first few levels. But it's kind of towards those level 6s, like you mentioned, that this game gets a little bit scrappy, a little bit more chaotic. And it's going to be about controlling that in your favor if you're on either side to really make an advantage. And I just want to talk a little bit about, you know, the Rel pick. Rel has kind of been almost like a fringe pick for the last little while. Did get a lot of nerfs, obviously, coming out of spring season, but I wanted to ask your opinion of kind of how does the Rel, you know, what is the Rel just a death ball, as you say, with the Callista going in, or is it more kind of a nuanced pick for that lane as such?
The thing I like about the Rel into what EDG have drafted is because we've set up that, hey, it's going to be Scout, JJ, Flandre trying to jump on Betty or Forge. And that just sets up very well for the Rel E coming out, stunning multiple members, turning that into an ultimate, locking people down, and giving room for Ice Coke, 8917 to get onto the likes of Viper, or even just burst out a frontliner who overextends a little bit too much. So I think she's a lot weaker in terms of how durable she is. She's a lot squishier than she was before with a lot of the nerfs coming out. Her laning phase isn't as strong, but it's still going to be potent up against an Ezreal and an Alistar when you do bring in the Callista. We do see that JJ realizes, hey, I actually can't fight for any Scuttle Crabs early, so instead is going to opt into hovering around his bot side, see if Rogue Warriors do overforce or overtrade and try to punish it. That's not going to happen. Luckily for JJ, with the fact that the camp respawns got pushed a bit back, it's not like he really wasted any time. None of his camps are up. We do see his Gromp's going to come up now. So both teams realizing what the state of the game is now. Ice Coke taking advantage and JJ not overforcing anything.
Yeah, this is kind of almost identical to what we saw from EDG in Spring Split. They were very controlled, very tempered aggression. They knew when to go. I do love the wards coming out from Rogue Warriors. They are keeping an eye on where JJ is, but basically they were very, very, slow, calm, cool, collected, and they're not, they're willing to let go a double scuttle, a dragon, or a Rift Herald, whatever it was at, to trade, because they knew where their power lies. Their understanding of the game was very, very high, and that's just something that, has obviously carried forward into summer. This team is, again, exactly the same as it was coming out of spring season, where they came third, and they're looking to try and go that little bit further, as we look to see Mako just kind of get a little bit of vision, see if he can catch out anyone, get some information, or maybe catch out towards this mid lane. A lot of people here, JJ and Mako, gonna see if they can catch out Forge, who has no mana, has got his flash for him, but I don't know if he's gonna be able to get it. The headbutt with the flash into the pulverize. First blood going to Scout. Mako looked like he messed up, but realistically, it was all calculated.
I was going to say, if it gets the kill at the end of the day, it gets the kill. Mako doesn't have flash now because, as you highlighted, Hex Flash still not enabled until potentially next patch, which we will be on next week, so that will come pretty soon. But the 3-man pincer move from EDG is something that we've seen many, many times. And this also comes from the fact that Viper is on that Ezreal. He is able to safely just farm out in the bot side. We saw during that time Rogue Warriors bot lane ended up going for a bit of a reset of their own. I like that JJ hovers around from the top side, so no escape angle coming in from Forge, and we're setting up Scout for success, which Scout has played this Lee Sin once already. It was a win, 15 KDA on the champion, and I think it brought some of his best plays of the split, because I think Scout is most phenomenal, one, when he's on champions that can side lane, and two, champions that can really make use of flanks. And we're going to see Ice Coke start the Dragon. With the fact that Betty and Kai Schwan are going to be able to get prio again, I think it is the right choice, and EDG trying to punish the mid lane.
Oh, Forge, he flashes away, tries to use the Realm Warp, but there's just no time for him to stay alive. And with that pressure into the mid lane, EDG know they have full control over this Dragon. That's going to be the Dragon stacking, and so we call them the Dragon Tamer. Oh, as I say that, they're going to go for the full engage. Actually stolen back. Rogue Warriors get themselves in front, and now we're going to get into great ultimate there on top of Ice Coke as he tries to keep on top of absolutely everybody. EDG scattering away to the rest of the corners of the map as Mako finds himself in enemy territory without a hope or a prayer. He will end up falling eventually. He's going to try and maybe donate this one over to the Rel, and he will end up getting that one over there to Kai Schwan, but great re-engage there from Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors overall the massive winners, right? They get the Dragon, they get the kills. We also see Ice Coke is picking up himself another Scuttle Crab, so now a whole level above JJ, and just coming off the back of that TP, coming out from 8917, I'm sorry, being able to pick that up. It's pretty sad to see, because I really liked how EDG started the play, because if you're a team to where it's like, hey, I actually can't walk and face check this objective, the enemy team is bot prio, so I can't walk through that quadrant of the jungle as well, you should typically lean towards the lane where you are able to fight and you are able to find priority. So we're going to see here from JJ, he sees Ice Coke go on the Dragon, he realizes, hey, I can't walk down and face check because their bot lane can come first. Forge is going to want to follow up, so we're going to go in for this kill. Doesn't matter if the flash comes out, both of these champions have enough mobility to take him down, and sadly it didn't turn into anything because of that TP coming out from the Nocturne.
Yeah, you can see the power there. You can TP with the paranoia, so you can just, they don't know where you're coming from, and very, very nice combination there. And I gotta say, Ice Coke just, with the Stormbringer, able to just make so much happen for him as well. It was really, really impressive to see him just kind of, really feeling comfortable on this volley bear. As we see the Flash Face Breaker on top with the Pale Cascade, and that is going to be enough for JJ to pick himself up a kill. That's going to be 3-2 on the scoreboard and a Rift Herald to start.
And just a bit of a cheeky brush play coming out from the side of EDG. It is now their timer where they can make a play, because they're going to come back out on the map first with the fact that JJ died. Goes for that play up on top side. I think as Rogue Warriors, I would have liked to see them pivoting more towards bot, looking for some deep wards and just accepting that they weren't going to get the Rift Herald regardless. Not that they even knew that EDG would look for this play, but let 8917 farm to the turret. He doesn't even have Paranoia up. Your bot lane is hard winning. You know, if you have a 4v4 on the bottom side of the map in that time, that you just should win out against what EDG have.
And JJ being very proactive in this early game, and someone we kind of, you know, we had a lot of praise towards the end of the season last split. It was very much someone who kind of grew into the role, felt a lot more comfortable the longer the season went on, and really does feel like he's kind of continuing that trend and pushing himself forward to be some of the, you know, one of the best junglers, or one of the best in the league in terms of junglers, you know, that we have. And, you know, that's not a very easy thing to say when you have the likes of, you know, Karsa, Tien, you know, all these different guys coming in, and Tarzan to be able to kind of put yourself up against.
I just want to highlight that I remember the first game I watched of JJ in 2019 summer. I'm pretty sure he was on the Olaf and he was against the Lee Sin. Can't remember the team. He just level 1 runs in solo, flashes over the enemy red wall, and solo kills the enemy jungle. It was one of the most big brain Chad plays I've ever seen. I don't even think EDG ended up winning that game, but when a jungler does something like that, he just cements a place in your heart forever.
Yeah, it's not about taking the win. It's about sending a message. That's the way JJ plays. As we, you know, kind of see how he develops with this. We've now got the proto belts with him for the Diana, so a little bit of extra mobility to be able to try and maybe make something happen. And this is kind of the issue that we mentioned a little bit in draft, in that these solo lanes, this top half of the map that you have with the Lee Sin, the Diana, and the Set, you can see just how quickly it is to be able to just get a kill, flash in, get a face baker, or a, you know, an ultimate from the Diana, or a flash kick, and you get the Dragon's Rage to put the Ryze into a bad position. And there's not really a lot you can do to reactively take any steps against it. You can see there, just as I mentioned it, they all rotate towards that top side. They know they can try and pressure out this Nocturne, who has gone with the boots early, and that, you know, that's just going to mean 8917 has to back away, has to give up his tower.
And the thing is, I feel like Rogue Warriors have been reacting very slowly from even a few minutes ago, right? Because you know that EDG are going to start making these plays towards the top half of the map. That is where they're strong. That's where they have prio. I would have loved to see some cross-mapping coming out from Rogue Warriors on the bottom side, because even EDG's composition, I think it's a lot more about sending Mako towards the mid lane and doing a lot of what we saw with that first gank of that pincer movement, because Viper's going to be very safe up against Betty and Kaishuan, even with the ultimate coming out from the Kalista and the engage coming out from Rel. If Viper plays it correctly, he shouldn't go down. So the fact that you already know Alistar is going to be moving, send Ice Coke towards mid, hover around with Forge, and start making for those split map trade plays towards bot. The problem is they've been so slow on it, you're giving EDG those top side map wins for free.
Yeah, giving them for free, and not only that, but you're also giving EDG time to be able to maybe go for a rotation against this dragon. So, Cloud Drake going down. It will be secured by Rogue Warriors as the double TP does come in. Flash in from Mako, gets the 3-man pulverize as the paranoia goes dark, and everyone's trying to see where they all are. You can see Force just on the backside trying to be machine gun Kelly as Betty picks himself up. A little bit of a kill. They're so low. 8917 has almost gone down. He will end up getting taken down there by the Sonic Wave, and this fight's a little bit scrappy. It's a little bit all over the place. Viper still very, very healthy. If he can land 1 or 2 Mystic shots, you know he'd be able to take this fight, but he just can't do it. It ends up being a 3-for-2 trade in favor of Rogue Warriors, and they got the dragon.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors barely making it out with those low health bars on so many members. I'm also surprised how the fight started, because we saw 8917 just ult into who I think was JJ. All of EDG's team runs forward, leaves Viper behind with no peel, and Rogue Warriors say, hey, we know we can go toe-to-toe with you frontline to frontline early on. They take out JJ. It leaves the other members in a bit of an awkward position. Ice Coke, I think, with a really nice ultimate, hitting numerous members, and Kaishuan following up, but we'll see here in the replay what happened. Mako, once again, Wing in, flashing to get more members locked down. We do see the Nocturne ult actually come onto Mako, and here's where it looks extremely close. It looks like EDG might be able to win out, but Flandre going a bit too far forward. Betty was left unscathed the whole time, able to dish out that free damage. And then you're just left in this place where, with Scout going forward as well, your other 2 frontliners taken out, it leaves Viper and JJ in a very awkward position.
Yeah, very much so. It is a win there for Rogue Warriors, but they are still behind about 1,500 gold, so they need to be just a little bit wary of that. Gore Drinker has been finished up here for the Lee Sin, and the Stride Breaker for the Set, so Mythics being finished up for pretty much all of the top sides apart from Mako, I should say, in the bot lanes. So EDG now with the Divine Sunder onto Viper should be feeling pretty confident themselves. And this is the thing, and it's something that we kind of notice quite a bit when we come into games with a Kalista, is that you always feel like you're on a timer. Yes, you have the Rise for scaling. Yes, the Nocturne doesn't really do that badly, but when we get to 3-4 item AD carries, if we ever get to that point, the Kalista just feels like it doesn't have the same kind of impact as something like an Ezreal. And this is something that Rogue Warriors should be aware of and should be working towards, kind of garnering a little bit more of an advantage while they know they have the power.
The thing I like about what Rogue Warriors are doing, though, is that we've seen teams draft Kalista numerous times before, and they don't put enough priority on the dragons, because that is the one place where Kalista excels. Says, hey, I'm great at taking neutral objectives with my Rend, and we've seen Rogue Warriors do a good job of stack those first two up early. We're going to get the next Drake in about 2 minutes as well, so a potential Soul coming at 21, 22 minutes if Rogue Warriors can keep the momentum going forward, and then try to negate that scaling a little bit, wait on Forge to come online, and just keep brute forcing these skirmishes while you're strong. The problem is that EDG have picked up a lot more mythics, as you pointed out. I think Scout especially extremely strong right now, to where on the other side, Betty still doesn't have his compared to Viper.
It's a 4v5 right now. They do have the Paranoia. Actually do not get Ice Coat, but they jump straight in on top of Scout. He is deleted straight away. The Paranoia was used on him as Force flashed away. They do get a nice little ultimate there from the Diana to try and lock everyone down. And you can see the health bars just aren't healthy enough for the side of Rogue Warriors. EDG, despite really being a 4v5, just have too much damage. Those Mythics really coming in clutch.
The thing I love about that as well is we see the adaptation from EDG from the last skirmish at Dragon to this skirmish at the Herald. Because they weren't the ones going in, despite the fact that Rogue Warriors were walking up. You can see they were trying to set up Flandre and Mako to play a lot more of a peeling role, and they had Scout waiting in that brush to find a flank. Scout sadly did go down early, but with the setup that they had and with the damage that they have coming out from their items, able to pick up the win, also able to break down some of these turrets. Now we're at almost a 4K gold lead for the side of EDG.
Yeah, it's really like 3,000, 3,500 with Dragon spawning in 50 seconds. This is a little bit scary now for Rogue Warriors. And this is the thing, you mentioned about the Dragon stacking. That's their win condition. And if they don't get this third Drake, they will be in a lot of trouble. But you can see here, just Scout gets caught out by the ward. But after that, like you mentioned, they're just waiting for Rogue Warriors to use everything. And then they can just basically take them down.
Yeah, the Paranoia also comes out, so EDG not even really able to look for the engage after knocking the initial person away, but I still think Mako doing that signals is a beautiful play coming out from Flandre. Great E, and then gonna pick up this other kill with his ultimate. That goes back to what we were talking about with Flandre coming into this split, but just as a recap, just overall nice setup coming out from EDG. RW might find the initial pick, but don't have the consistent DPS at this point without Rise really coming online to go in these more extended fights. And I mean, you just gave that one to the burst coming out from Flandre and JJ.
Yeah, great combination there. And Flandre is someone that, again, we're going to have a little bit of a microscope on for the rest of the season. Can he continue his good form? And speaking of continuing good form, Paranoia is back and available, so we're going to go back to another skirmish. You need this if you're Rogue Warriors. You need to take this Dragon because you need to have that fourth Drake as your option as you go in. Flash forward there. Zhong Wuji trying to see, or not Zhong Wuji, excuse me. We're going to see the Dragon going down. As we got Diana actually being stealing it away. We have got the Realm Morph going to be stopped, and this is EDG just knowing they are in full control of this team fight. They know they can take these ones, no problem whatsoever. They're just going to be able to just completely decimate Rogue Warriors, and there's nothing Rogue Warriors can do. They're going to try and delay this for as long as possible so they don't lose much more of their base. They're trying their very best. They're just Mako tanking the turret as long as he possibly can. 8917 will get out. 4-0. Dragon goes over to the EDG, and this game is looking very dicey for Rogue Warriors.
But still, as an EDG fan, this is what you wanted to see. You wanted them to come in, have a clean, decisive win on a team that is towards the bottom of the table. We're still seeing the adaptation in the team fight compared to the initial team fight at Drake, to where they are being more conscious of the engage coming out. We're going to see Kai Schwan looking for it. He's going to go into the crash down and try and look for the ultimate. Does find it. Mako hits him away, but still no follow-up really able to come out from the side of Rogue Warriors, because Ice Coke doesn't want to ult into the fight because of how low the Dragon is getting. Seems like maybe they wanted to use that paranoia and try to guarantee the Drake, so maybe Rogue Warrior's not exactly on the same page. Forge left in a difficult position between JJ and Viper, and this is just going to leave it for the other members of EDG to be able to take this fight as we come straight into another fight.
We're going to go straight back up into the top side. As we can see there, Scout trying to just keep himself away. He has got the Dragon's Rage, so should be able to get that engage going. As we can see, there's the flash, there's the kick. They're going to go back into it, the paranoia, trying to create some kind of confusion, but Flandre is just keeping everybody away from this fight. He does go down, but here comes Viper, and that's going to be all she wrote for this fight. EDG do enough of a stall to make sure the rest of their team can get there. 4 for 2, and they are just cruising in this game now.
And Rogue Warriors are flipping as many burgers as they can, just hoping by some miracle, Betty, Forge, ISO, someone can pick it up, because you already highlighted the scaling coming in later on for EDG. Rogue Warriors don't feel comfortable going in with that, so they're trying to take fights now where they're strong. They're trying to punish people on sides, but EDG consistently getting the better of them. I also want to highlight is I don't think Ice Coke might have killed himself, Penguin.
Yeah, well, maybe not. They are going to fight over a little bit of a blue buff. He is fine, but they did need the Realm Warp. Yeah, it definitely looked like he got caught out a little bit, but the Realm Warp was used to keep him safe. But yeah, honestly, like 7,000 gold, like I think the scaling's very much there. You're an item and a half, or a half item, I suppose you should say, behind for Betty. He really hasn't had any kind of impact with this Kalista that we would like to see, and yes, you've got a Rise, but the Nocturne combination with the Volibear just really isn't coming out for the side of Rogue Warriors, whereas I look at the combination for EDG, the engages that we're seeing from the set, the Lee Sins, and of course the Dianas, it's just honestly working exactly like we thought it would.
It's pretty cool too, because Mako's being used to disengage from the initial engage coming out from RW, and then when the follow-up comes in is when you see Flandre and JJ pairing together for the massive CC into the massive burst coming out from the Diana. And it's just working wonders. Also want to highlight the fact that 8917 did buy Gore Drinker, something we haven't been able to talk about because of all the fights that are happening. I actually still don't think I'll get to talk about it, so, you know, Penguin, back to you.
Back to me as we go back to the Baron. Baron down to about 3,000 HP as they look to maybe go for Ice Coke. Has got the Stormbringers. You want to maybe look for a bit of a fight, but EDG know all they have to do is just bait out these ultimates and they can maybe go for the re-engage. There's the set down on top of everybody. It is going to be JJ falling, so it's a 1-for-1 trade just now. Forge is still alive and Forge is still able to put out damage. Now Betty can unleash. Now Betty with the Immortal Shield Bow can finally do some work here. And now Betty's just trying to kite back, try forward, trying to see if he can catch out as many people as possible, but Viper's feeling a little bit frisky. Viper's looking for the kills, not able to get himself out. Betty will fall as they go look to maybe try and re-engage this one, but Viper's still very, very healthy. Scout gets himself the execute as Forge jumps straight in on top of Viper, and Viper is just free firing from one AD carry to another. It is EDG who end up getting the fight. They looked a bit dicey, but after all this time, they will go back and start the Baron.
The Realm Warp of Death, Penguin. They Realm Warp straight into a brush. Viper still at his Arcane Shift available as well. He can easily get out. You have the W coming out from the Lee Sin. And Viper just able to unload. It almost looked good for Rogue Warriors. They were able to get onto JJ, land their CC on him before he's able to flash away or react. Has to end up burning his Zanyas. Once he comes out, they're able to pick him off, but still, with the fact that you don't have that set way of getting onto Viper after the initial engage, right? If the Paranoia, you don't Nocturne ult onto him, if Volibear doesn't jump onto him, if Kalista doesn't throw the Rel onto him, then Viper's just given free reign, as we just saw. And not only are they picking up Baron, Flandre coming back after his death, going to get EDG this next Dragon as well. And now for EDG, it should be a pretty easy time breaking down these tier 2 turrets.
I mean, 7-0-7 here for Viper, 6-1-9. If you're a wrestling fan, the Rey Mysterio there, going to be bringing it in for Scout.
Oh, God.
That's an old school reference there, but it's just so good. And again, EDG really coming out strong. And yes, I like the fight there for Rogue Warriors. They were able to delay very, very much so, but the scaling's gone. Like you know, you don't have the damage in your kits really. You look at the items even your Ryze has, it's got the Zhonya's and the Everfrost. These are very defensive items that really aren't going to be giving you the same kind of impact as something like a Proto Belt or a Divine Sunderer with the, you know, the Mana Mune is going to be able to give for this Ezreal. But as I say that, we're going to look for him to just re-engage. This is probably a last chance saloon here for Rogue Warriors. They go in the Paranoia, not quite able to get the rest of the team in. Facebreaker to try and bring the tanks back as the Haymaker goes down in. Oh, JJ nicely worked in there with the Moonfall, able to catch everybody out, and now the health bars are going to be completely melted down. Triple kill for the EDG jungler, and that was beautiful.
And EDG now just going to be able to push into the base. Only 2 members of Rogue Warriors available. Going to be sitting a pre-25-minute win for EDG in this first game.
Yep, there's not really a lot you can do here if you're Ice Coke and if you're Forge. You haven't really got the damage. You can see them there getting jumped on straight away by Scout. And still waiting for the minions to kind of really file in here. The Baron buff not as effective at bringing the cannon minions in, but with the Nexus turrets falling, the Nexus is next to go down, and in 25 minutes, it is going to be EDG with the first win of the series.
And EDG just got too far ahead. Even if we take away things like, you know, scaling or what champions were on the Rift, I mean, once EDG started picking up those early skirmish wins, got themselves about 4K gold ahead, it was extremely hard for Rogue Warriors. We saw even at the first fight around Rift Herald, where I think 4 members of EDG's already picked up their mythics as compared to only 2 on the side of Rogue Warriors. And EDG adapted nicely to the initial skirmishes that they were losing to the side of Rogue Warriors, and then Rogue Warriors were never able to really find their footing back into the game. By the time they did start trying to use those Nocturne ultimates onto Viper, which was pretty much only in that last fight, the rest of your team wasn't even in range to try to follow up. It felt like for Rogue Warriors that they got a bit desperate. I feel like at that point in time, you try to let EDG overcommit into your tower and look for that, but again, they were so far behind at that point. The pressure's there. They weren't able to find any openings, though realistically in a game like League of Legends, you're 10k gold behind it. It should be almost near impossible to lose as EDG.
Yeah. Honestly, I still respect the fact that, you know, Rogue Warriors did go for that last engage. They recognized it. They were like, look, it literally only gets worse from here, even with 10k gold behind and the scale, you add in the scaling that comes in. There's like, we need to fight now, and if we can get something awesome, we can look for maybe a bit of a snowball off that, but they made it as competitive as they possibly could towards the end. And like you said, for EDG, it was just too fast. You know, they just got too far ahead, and nothing the side of Rogue Warriors could really do about it at that point. There was obviously that touchy Baron play, but the Realm Warp of Death, you know, it's kind of you know, the Realm Warp into the death dimension, if you will, as they just got absolutely obliterated by Viper. And really gotta just commend, you know, pretty much everyone on EDG. They're just all looking on form, and there wasn't at all, and I don't think in any kind of the fights or anything, that apart from that one dragon early on, there wasn't really much mistakes here from EDG.
No, and I really like some of their early game macro and like decision making coming in. We saw the 3-man pincer coming out into the mid lane to where they realized, hey, Viper's totally fine on his own. We can just continuously look for this play, especially up against the Kalista. Sure, you got to fear the all-in coming out, but you don't actually have to really be afraid of her taking too many plates. Doesn't have the attack steroids in her kit or the demolition power in someone like Tristana to be able to do that. And then the other thing was, even though they ended up losing the dragon and going down in that fight, when we saw JJ pivot over towards mid, realize where he has to find his prio from to enter into a neutral objective. So some pretty good decision making coming out from EDG. I mean, their mechanics were all on full display in a lot of these fights. We got to see the combo of the Tom side, Viper just doing Viper things all game long. Though in that Realm Warp of Death play, he almost did miss quite a bit of his Mystic shots. Not like I was counting, but he still pulled it off at the end, so that's all that matters.
Yep, just so Viper knows, Jordan Lyric Corby does not miss any Mystic shots. Just so he knows. You know, if he needs a call, just give him a buzz. You know, hit him up on Twitter. But yeah, honestly, like, it really was business as usual for EDG and for Rogue Warriors. They, at bare minimum, they understood what they needed to do. The execution of it just wasn't really there. And as you said, once they got to kind of that point at the Baron fight, it was, you kind of had to go for every single fight at that point. It only gets worse from that point. But again, for Rogue Warriors, it's not really expected that they'll be able to win. So, looking competitive and understanding how their comp works is good enough for me if I'm a Rogue Warriors fans. But we'll see if they're able to change anything up or if EDG will be taking a clean 2-0. We're going to send it to a quick break. And when we return, Game 2 will be right around the corner.